Hey guys, what's going on? Banana156 here with another video. Remember to like, dislike, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave them. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Jordan Peterson and why I believe he is a fascist. But first, first of all, Jordan Peterson has a PhD in psychiatry. He's written many self-help books. He's done many lectures. He does stuff like that. But now first let's go over his self-help stuff. So his self-help advice is average. I've read the first 12 rules for life. I haven't read the second, but it's pretty average, just what you'd expect from a self-help book. And it's acceptable. It's nothing that bad. The one thing that I will say is that it's kind of culty how he says, like, you think like this, you do this, you. Like, you feel this way, you feel this way. It's like kind of culty when you read it, when it's like trying to make you feel. It's just culty, like how cult people think about it, or how cult people say that, like, you feel this way, I can fix that. That's the only real criticism I have of it, of like the advice itself. I do have another criticism of him, but so as I'm sure most of you know, that Jordan Peterson was an alcoholic and had some dependency on drugs earlier in his life, and while he was trying to change the world, and but yeah, so he was an alcoholic, he was a drug addict, but then he still tried to change the world, which goes against his self-help philosophy. He says that you shouldn't change the world until your house is in order. House is in order, and that's why he promotes self-improvement. But he tried to change the world when his house was in severe disorder. He tried to change the world when he was an alcoholic. He tried to change the world when he was a drug addict, which goes completely against his self-help advice, which isn't a very good thing to see from someone doing that. And now there was a video with him and Ben Shapiro a while back, and I wanted to talk about it because it showed a great example of what right-wing political commentators, the lie that they try to sell. So, they were talking about wealth inequality and systemic critiques and stuff like that. So they were talking about systemic critiques, and they were like, all these people, I'm fine with systemic critiques. It's just that you have to look within. You have to see the evil within before it's valid, which is like, it's the lie that they're trying to sell. It's like, yeah, we're okay with hearing systemic critiques. You just need to self-improve first. You just need to self-improve. And he kept going on about how all of like the leftists and the Black Lives Matter protesters had some substantial evil within them that they needed sorting out, which I think is honestly I feel like he is he's projecting onto them because of the stuff that he was doing and the problems that he had in his life. And I'm not condemning him for those, but I feel like he's projecting his problems onto other people. And he measures self-improvement by different ways than they probably would. Like, I don't know, like, he might see someone that is perfectly normal, like a feminist but she has like blue hair or a few tattoos, and she'd be like, and he would say, you're clearly not well because you look like this. But in reality, she's perfectly fine. That's just how she wants to look, and that's fine. That's how it should be. You should be able to look however you want, but Jordan Peterson doesn't think that. Next, he also him and Ben Shapiro in that video both tried to say it's up to the centrists, and they portrayed themselves as centrists, decrying radicalism about these people trying to tear the system down and stuff like that. And they tried to paint, and they always paint it in the light as the left is the real racist because they don't see individuals, they see a system. They don't see individuals failing, they see a system. They see the system as a whole failing, so that makes them racist because they don't see the individuals, which is just wrong because, they made the argument that, we're not racist because when we see a ton of black people failing in a very specific way, in the same kind of ways all the time, we don't see a system failing, we see the individuals failing, individuals that just aren't self-improving enough or doing X. That's just not true. I would argue that I would say that the left is the most individualist. Like, I'm a leftist because I want to have the most possible freedom for everyone, and many are like that. Leftists are the most individualistic, and that's why, and that's the lie Jordan Peterson are trying to tell. They're trying to tell that they are centrist and they're just out for the individual when they're not. They're not. They don't want any decries against the system because they want you to focus on self-improvement rather than, which is good. I'm not you should self-improve. And I've never heard any other leftist say that you shouldn't, but you need to self-improve. But he wants you to only focus on self-improvement. He doesn't want you to focus on the system or possibly changing anything for the better in any way. That's the lie that him and Ben Shapiro want to tell. They say that they're okay with systemic critiques, but you have to be good. You have to have your house in order first. No, they don't want systemic critiques at all. They want you to just shut up. That's all they want. Next, he begins to talk about he talks about the patriarchy a lot, and he's the same person who says if you wear makeup in the workplace you're being seductive, which is just wrong because a lot of women wear makeup because they have to. It's just what's expected of them. But yeah, so he talks about the patriarchy, and he says that a lot of these feminists identify the patriarchy as evil. So therefore, an ambitious man trying to further himself is evil and should be put in check by the feminist logic. He thinks that any man being ambitious would contribute to the patriarchy. That's what he thinks a feminist would think. So what he's trying to make you think is that as a male you should be pro-patriarchy. And what logic does this follow? This follows the same logic that anti-sexism is sexism, because he wants you to think that the feminists don't want you to succeed and they want to have supremacy over you. That's what they think. They think that any male, he thinks that feminists think that any male being ambitious or doing anything is improving or is adding to the patriarchy, and the feminists want to push that down. So as a male, you can't be ambitious as a feminist or in a feminist society, which is what he's trying to push. And what logic does this extend to? Is it anti-racism is racist? Is anti-white? Is it every other logic? Is it every other train of any other logical conclusion that every other conservative has? That this is, even though this is like anti-racism trying to go for equality, it's not. It's actually black supremacist or white male racist or discriminatory against Christians. It always goes against that. It's always the same train of thought every single time. And now that ideal is a fascist ideal. And now I'm going to explain this because maybe Jordan Peterson doesn't believe in fascism himself, because I know he has denounced it several times. I don't care, because his words lead people towards fascist arguments. His arguments lead people towards fascism, and it progresses towards fascism. And my argument is that anyone's arguments that leads to fascism is a fascist. Like, I would argue most Republican voters are fascists, because you may ask them, do you believe in fascism? Do you believe in Nazism? And they'll say, no, of course not. But then you ask, do you think Donald Trump won the election? And they'll be like, yes, all of academia, all of the massive corporations, all the Democratic Party are conspiracizing to take over the government, and we need a strong ruler to crack down on this anti-Christian America movement. And I don't know. I would say that person's a fascist. Wouldn't you? See, it's the ideas that matter. It's what you lead people to do. Because if you don't believe in fascism, but push fascist ideals, you are a fascist. Because it doesn't matter what goes on in your head. It matters what you lead people to do. Especially if you're a person like Jordan Peterson, who has a massive audience of millions of people. Because he has an audience, an incredibly large audience, and he keeps pushing these fascist ideals, and he makes more and more fascists. And That is why I consider him a fascist, and that's why I consider other people fascist that you may not consider fascist. Like I consider, well, I mean, I feel like most people consider all Fox News fascists, but I don't know. Maybe Ben Shapiro, you may not consider him a fascist. I think he's a fascist because he pushed fascist ideals and he has a large audience, and he pushes that audience towards fascism. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you all for watching. Yeah, thank you all for watching, and thanks for all the recent support on the videos. Remember to subscribe, like, dislike, comment, do all that stuff. I do read all comments, so make sure to leave one. Yeah, and thank you all for watching, and thanks for all the recent support on the videos, and I will see you guys